Good evening. I'd like to call the Chesterfield Township Planning Commission meeting to order. Pardon me 1 minute. For July 1st, 2025. I'd like to acknowledge Robert Sievert, Township Attorney's here, Jonathan Palin, Township Planners here. Where did I just write that? Ava Miller and Stephanie Osborne from Giffords Webster. If you would all please silence your phones. And if we could, I'm going to call roll.
Pledge of allegiance.
All right, sorry. I just got back into town from being on the road, so I'm a little, I get it together. I'd like to have a stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. All right, I'd like to call roll. Rick LaBelle.
Here.
Kathy Bosberg. Richard Brokart.
Here.
Brian Carr.
Here.
Ralph Jaworski.
Here.
James Kalinowski.
Here.
Mark Renault.
Here.
Eric Heider.
Here.
And Carl Leonard here. I would like to make a motion to approve the minutes from June 17th. Why can't I find my paper here? Unbelievable. I just had them out. Here we go. Motion by Carl Leonard, supported by Eric Heider, to approve the minutes. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Would like to make a motion to approve the agenda.
Support.
Motion by Carl Leonard, supported by Mark Renault, to approve the agenda as submitted. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We do have public comments from the audience. If anybody would like to get up and discuss anything or have anything to say, you've got 3 minutes. I'm more than happy to have you come up and do so. No one? Okay. With that, there's no public hearings tonight. And with the regular agenda will be reviewed by Rick LaBelle.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Item A is sign review J24-0953. It's Outfront Media Incorporated to erect an outdoor advertising sign located at 29425 Mile Road. We postponed making a decision on 5/20 of 25 and gave the applicant a chance to go back and make some adjustments. Is the applicant present this evening?
There you go.
Better? Sometimes I sound like this if I got on a microphone. So, Adam Barrett, I'm an attorney at Bodman PLC. My address is 1901 St. Antoine, 6th floor at Ford Field, Detroit, Michigan, 48226. I'm here tonight on behalf of Outfront Media. As Mr. LaBelle stated, I was here previously. We were here before you for 4 zoning requests, variances, dimensional variances. You asked me to go back and sharpen my pencil. You also asked me to go back and provide you with some dimensional drawings so you could better understand the request. We've narrowed our request now down to 3 variance requests. The landscaping, I'll take them probably in level of ease. The landscaping, I think we've talked about at length. I'm not sure a sign at this setback in the road will have much by way of vegetation anyways. So we would ask that what the township has done with others is to limit the landscaping request. We would ask the same thing to be done here. I brought 2 drawings. I'm happy to kind of put them up as it relates to the monopole versus dual pole drawing. We put together a rendering just so you can see what the monopole would look like versus the dual pole type drawings. We believe that the monopole is, for the reasons I had stated previously, is less obtrusive, allows for further development or further use under the sign for the property owner as well. It allows also for future changes to that area. And again, I would rely upon my prior statements as it relates to those 2 items. Now, going directly to the variance request regarding height, our request is that the sign be permitted to stand. And you'll note that we did reduce down, we went back out there, we reduced down our, give me 1 second, please. Plethora of pens on this podium. You'll note from our prior conversation, we've now eliminated the height request to have the sign to be taller, focusing on the dimensions. I would draw the board's direction or attention to Exhibit B. Exhibit B is a diagram that we put together to try to show what the sign looks like in terms of its size from a setback of something on, for example, Hall Road versus a setback from here on 94. What we are asking for is to allow the sign to be 14 feet by 48 to allow it to be visible because of the increased setback on the road. The idea being what we have identified there as being the true distance. Based upon our drawings and what we've reviewed, the average change in someone's appearance that this sign will be 6.36% larger than a sign that one would see from Hall Road at 104 foot distance, set back 92 feet versus the out front sign here, proposed sign being set back on 94 at 139 feet. Said differently, the difference in height will permit the sign to be seen, but it will not appear to be a large sign. We have, as I stated last time, I've taken you through the various showings or what's set forth in the statute, the ordinance regarding the standard for the sign. We believe we meet the practical difficulties standard based upon what I have previously said to you, as well as the, try to get them here, give me a second. Reem, what's it in? As the board is well aware, there are 5 standards related to a dimensional variance in the township. Are there special circumstances specific to the property that justifies the above requested variance? As we discussed last time, billboards are a permitted use. Because of the setback requirement and the location of the property to 94, the overpass and the adjacent buildings, we believe this is met. Again, trying to come up with a solution which will make the sign appear only 6% larger than a sign if it was permitted by 10 by 30 at a similar setback to Hall Road. The second one is, would strictly enforcing the ordinance limit the sign's effectiveness, like visibility or usefulness, without serving a meaningful purpose? We believe it would. Obviously, here we have reduced the overall size of the sign by bringing down its height. We're trying to make sure that the sign remains visible. So we believe that this sign size is a good compromise to that. The safety implications of the proposed sign and structure must be thoroughly evaluated to ensure it doesn't pose a public risk to safety and health. Here, clearly having a sign that can be seen is beneficial to all. And more importantly, the sign having an increased size from 10 by 30 to 14 by 48 will have no meaningful effect on safety. The benefit to the general public and the applicant should be weighed against any potential risks to traffic safety and visual clutter. As I mentioned before, there have been numerous traffic studies, the most prominent being from Virginia Tech, that billboards do not lead at all to traffic safety and the like, that the biggest issue still remains driver distractedness, typically due to cell phones. Number 5, and finally, it should be determined whether granting the variance is in the best interest of the township and align with the spirit and intent of the sign ordinance. I believe, as I suggested last time, that this is going to be the last permitted billboard in the township based upon spacing. So I would suggest to you that since billboards are permitted uses, that this generally fits within the spirit and the intent of the ordinance. If you have any questions of me, I'm happy to answer them.
I will bring it back to the board. Does anybody have any questions? Kathy? Eric? Ralph? James?
In particular, anything on Exhibit B that I can go over to help you better understand?
Whatever you want. This way. Okay. Just one question. The size of the sign, the square footage of the sign compared to our ordinance. The size of the sign, the square footage of the sign compared to our ordinance, how much larger is the sign percentage-wise?
14 by 48 is 672. 10 by 30 would be 300 square feet, so it's approximately double in square footage.
How many?
Approximately double in square footage.
About 200% bigger then, or
It's 100% bigger.
100% bigger?
Yeah. But again, from that vantage point, it will look the same size as a sign on Hall Road at the same setback.
Okay. Well, okay,
Or,
thank you.
excuse me, at Hall Road setback versus what the freeway setback would be.
Understood. Thank you.
Rich? No questions. Brian? No questions. Mark? The chair has no additional questions. Is there anything else you?
No, nothing more to add unless there's,
Okay,
you come up with some questions during your deliberations. I'm happy to answer them.
thank you. With that, I will entertain a motion.
I'd like to make a motion, Mr. Chair, regarding sign review and variance request J24-0953. Outfront Media desires to erect a sign located at 29425 23 Mile Road. Section 5211 of the Chesterfield Township Ordinance establishes that this planning commission may grant a variance to sign dimensional provisions if special circumstances exist, strict enforcement is unnecessary, the sign does not pose a risk to public safety, it outweighs potential traffic risks and visual clutter, and it aligns with the township interests. The applicant today is requesting 4 variances. The first 2 are in the size of the sign under Section 52-6D7 and Section 52-6D8. The third variance is for a 1 support type of the sign under Section 52-6D5, going from 2 pole to 1 pole. And the last is a landscape requirement under Section 52-6D11. I want to address these individually. For sign area variances, I move to deny the applicant's request for variance. That's both D7 and D8. The applicant's request is over twice the size our township ordinance permits. No actual data is provided that demonstrates a 672 square foot area is required for sign visibility in the area designated. There has been no compelling evidence that I've seen to establish that special circumstances exist here. Allowing a larger sign does not align with the township's best interests, nor does it align with this commission's effort to establish consistent, unobtrusive, and professional signage throughout our township. For the support type variance, I also move to deny the applicant's request. The applicant's request for a single-mounted pole design is contradictory to this commission's desire to provide that consistent, unobtrusive, professional signage throughout the entire township. The applicant's claim that a single pole design somehow reduces visual clutter is a matter of opinion rather than a matter of factual representation. Lastly, the requested variance indeed grants special privileges to the applicant, as this commission has been very consistent with sign designs and the application of a two-pole design specifically. Lastly, for landscape requirements, I move to deny the applicant's request for variance. The applicant has not adequately defined what type, style, or appearance of an alternative landscape proposal it's willing to provide. It's okay to ask for a variance, but without a detailed description of what an alternative proposal represents, this commission really has nothing to judge. Granting that variance is not beneficial to the township. Granting the applicant this variance without an alternative proposal would indeed provide that applicant a special privilege. Lastly, without proper definition of an alternative landscape variance, this commission cannot assume that the alternative is aligned with the township's best interests. I respectfully ask, Mr. Chairman, that we vote on each of these requests separately, one at a time, for clarity. Thank you.
We have a motion by Rich Brokart. And we have support by Mark Renault on the first, you wanted to do the first one, right?
I think when it comes to the dimensional variances of the sign, we can do the first two.
First two?
Yeah, we can do 7 and 8 together. One is just for a 300 square foot rectangle, and the other one's on the variance for the 30 degrees.
Okay.
So they're very much the same.
And so we have a motion by Rich Brokart, supported by Mark Renault, to deny the first two requests of the, from the petitioner. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. So now we have a motion by Rich.
The third motion would be the two pole versus one pole.
So we're going to do 3 and 4 separately?
I think we should, yeah.
Okay. So for request number 3, we have motion by Rich Brokart, supported by Mark, to deny item 3 on the petitioner's request. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. On item 4, we have a motion by Rich Brokart, supported by Mark Renault, to deny petition request number 4. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. That's the decision from the board. Thank you.
Thank you. Item B is Windward Bay Site Plan 2023-12. It's the final review site plan condominium, R1C/C3. It's 45.2 acres south of 23 Mile Road, east of Donner. The parcel ID is 15-09-21-126-007, 15-09-21-126-008, 15-09-21-126-022, and 15-09-21-126-023. The petitioner is here this evening. Ms. Osborne, if you would give us Giffords-Webster's report, please.
Thank you. So in your packets tonight, there's a letter dated June 2nd This is Windward Bay's second final site condo review. So just a little history, the plans received preliminary approval in August of 2021. The Planning Commission looked at the final site plan again, or for the first time, I guess, in August 2023. So it's been a little bit of time since these plans have been before you. I'll note that the applicant did provide a letter dated June 16th about how some of the items that I listed on the first page that were outstanding have been addressed. So I'll talk about those as we move through the letter. Our sense is that the final site plan, as proposed, is in substantial compliance with the ordinance standards for single-family condominium developments. There's one outstanding item, and I'll get to that, and that can be approved administratively. So the site is split zoned. The northern 6 acres is C3 general commercial, and the southern 43.7 acres is zoned R1C for single family residential. The surrounding land uses really vary. In the northern part, there's a vet clinic and a dermatology office that are adjacent to the east, but further south on the lot, it's adjacent to RM1 zoning that's built out with the multifamily residential that's allowed there. To the south, the land is zoned R1B and has single-family homes. Again, to the west, there's RM2 residential multifamily on the south end, and then C3 directly north of that. So it's a little bit of a mix, but the parcel is large. So I think that you can see that the variety of mixes is probably a result of how large this parcel is. The site, it has access to 23 Mile Road via 2 access drives, one at the east and west ends of the property. At the bottom of page 2, we get into the proposal history. As I mentioned, they completed their preliminary review already. At that time, the Planning Commission was really just looking at the plan, kind of high level, looking at the site, looking at the roads, the basic configuration that was proposed, and then consistency of the plans with the applicable provisions of the zoning ordinance and the condominium site plan requirements. At that time, there were 4 items that needed to be submitted. The 4th was the only one that was missing. That was a copy of the master deed and the restrictive covenants. The applicant has provided that, so that is all buttoned up now. At the top of page 3, we get into more of the details of the project. So the applicant's proposing to construct 131 single-family homes. There'll be a mix of 1- and 2-story, and they all have 2-car garages. And this proposal is focused only on the portion of the parcel that's zoned R1C at the south end of the site. So the portion at the north end, that's CU3, is not part of this proposal at all. Going into our dimensional requirements, they are all compliant. I'll note that in our letter, we had noted that the corner lots were not compliant, and the applicant and Township have both confirmed that the corner lots were previously approved by the Township. At the bottom of page 3, we get into the street and the block layout. They have proposed private streets that are 28 feet wide. Again, they have 2 access points to 23 Mile Road. You may wish to discuss the opportunity to tie into that existing stub street that's to the east, just to provide greater continuity to the roads that are already there. The blocks meet the maximum length, and the sidewalks meet the required width. In terms of parking, they have sufficient parking. Each unit has a 2-car garage, plus they have driveway space. Most lots appears will have a 20 by 25 foot driveway. And that allows for the required setback from the sidewalk. Middle of page 4, we get into landscaping. The landscaping requirements are regulated through the site condominium requirements. So those are found separately from the zoning ordinance. I did make a note that all lots except for lot 84 had a street tree provided. I noticed with their comment that they had put it, it was lot 84 is a corner lot. They had put it not on the same street as all the other trees on that street. They had put it on what I was thinking would be the secondary frontage. Since then, they've put it on the primary frontage. So either way, they were still compliant. They have also proposed Norway maples, flowering cherries, and flowering dogwoods. The flowering cherry and dogwood are not listed in the land division ordinance and then the site condominium list of approved plantings. So it will require approval by the superintendent of the Department of Public Works. I know those things are listed in the zoning ordinance as permitted, but this is a separate list that they'll need to address, and I believe that can be done administratively. In terms of replacement trees, they have updated. There was a discrepancy on their plans between counts on different sheets. Those have been updated, but and in what was counted as a removable tree versus not. So anyway, regardless of those mistakes, which have been corrected, they were still compliant, as the percent of canopy that they were proposing to remove was less than the maximum that's allowed. And then lastly, on the landscaping item, is the landscape easement for screening. Excuse me. A 20-foot wide landscape easement with 6-foot tall pine and fir trees is proposed along the lots of rear of lots 1 and 2. The landscape area will be irrigated and sodded, and then further to the west, the site will be screened using a 6-foot high concrete wall. Along 23 Mile Road, there's a 12-foot wide stretch that's a private easement that will be dedicated to the homeowners association for landscaping. And I apologize that this was bolded. They are compliant. All the trees that were proposed meet the right caliper dimension there. The requirement for a landscape plan with costs has been noted as deficient, but the applicant said that will be provided. Lastly, in terms of residential design standards, the township requires variation in the style of homes that are provided, and the submission includes 4 elevations, which meets the township's requirements. So I think that covers the changes between my letter and what was resubmitted, but if you have any questions, let me know.
Thank you. Does the applicant have anything they want to talk to us about?
Good evening, Bob Kirk, 19500 Hall Road, Clinton Township.
John Monty, 2420 Point Trumbull Road, Algonac, from Project Control Engineering.
Do you have any questions?
You didn't have anything you wanted to add to that, or good? I'll bring it back to the board if anybody has any questions. Kathy?
I do, thank you. Regarding the trees, is that an administrative decision then by our township engineer?
Yeah, that's a provision in the land division ordinance, that if it's not listed, that the DPW superintendent can approve it, which I believe it is listed in our zoning ordinance, so it shouldn't be an issue.
Okay, or could deny it, or suggest something else?
Yeah, they could just replace it with a different
Okay.
acceptable species, yeah.
I'm not a tree expert by any means at all, but what would be the reasoning it's not in the current list?
I can't speak
Honestly,
to that.
I'm not sure. It's an older ordinance. I was looking at the date it was adopted myself because it references approval by the DPW superintendent, which is also pretty odd, but it doesn't fall under the zoning ordinance, so it's probably something that should be looked at, but I don't have a specific answer for you.
Okay, we had planted some trees over at Pollard Park, and in doing that had learned there's some types that should not be planted because they don't live very long, or they are susceptible to disease and stuff. So that's, again, I don't know if these trees are or are not, but I guess that's something our engineer can look into and discuss with the applicant.
Yeah, we would look into that, and as stated, it is acceptable in the zoning ordinance. It's just in the land division, which is specific to subdivision design standards. So there's a little bit of a conflict there, because we did recently update I don't know, within the last 5 years, we updated the species list in the zoning ordinance, but with that, we probably should have tackled that list as well, and we didn't, but
More things to do. Thank you.
Thank you. Eric?
Mr. Monti, do you have an idea on what you're going to do with the corner lot compliance?
We had received approval previously on the sizes of the corner lots,
Okay,
so.
all set.
That's it. Carol? James?
Would you, there we go. Would you consider tying into that existing Stubb Street east of Rain Tree Court?
That was a hot subject early on in this project. The people in that development were adamant that we could not tie into them, that Stubb Street did not connect to the property line. It stopped short, and they were adamant at the early planning commission meetings that we didn't tie into them.
Okay, thank you. Nothing else.
Rick?
I do have a few questions. John, the poured wall, are you planning on painting that, or is that a colored, integral, impregnated concrete? Because our ordinance doesn't allow paint.
Well, we'll certainly comply with the ordinance. We're not interested in painting the wall either. You know, I believe that for sure. So what would you like us to do?
Okay. The common area that you're proposing for the residents of the complex, there's really no landscape design. Are you planning on doing anything there with that common area, or is it just a big grass area? Is it grass?
I believe it is, yes. That's all it is at this point.
So there's no sidewalks, no barbecue spots, no cupolas, no nothing?
No.
Nothing, okay. When you were here some time ago, and we talked about the C3 area up in front, we had a discussion, and it was agreed to at that time, and I want to make sure that we're still on the same page, that area would be maintained until you do something with that site. Do you have any plans in the near future to develop the C3 area?
I think he's tried to sell that property to various people, so that is an ongoing process, but we will maintain it so that it's, you know, not in...
Not overgrown and
not overgrown, for sure.
pieces of
Correct.
cement sticking out of the ground and things like that. So it's going to look nice, correct?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. The Western Drive, there's no landscaping on it. Is there any intent of putting landscaping on it? You did do something on the East Drive, but you didn't do anything on the West Drive.
Correct. I guess that's a good point. I think we were thinking maybe we're looking at future development there, what might happen with the commercial area as well, so.
Yeah, but he's going to sell it.
But I get it.
So, you know, what guarantee can we have that this is going to look nice if it doesn't sell right away?
I guess you wouldn't have any unless we put something on there, right? What do you want to do?
Put some plantings on it?
We can add plantings or trees along that area and work that out with your planning department if you'd like.
Okay. John, how big is the sidewalk on 23 Mile Road? How wide is the sidewalk on 23 Mile Road?
I'm sorry, I don't know. The existing sidewalk? I don't know.
Is there an existing sidewalk there? There is? Oh, okay. Then I retract that question. You do have a sidewalk coming from the existing sidewalk on 23 Mile Road going into the site on the Western Drive? I'm sorry, on the Eastern Drive?
We
that a
do on
sidewalk
the
there?
Eastern Drive, yes.
What about the Western Drive?
We did not on the Western Drive.
Can we get a sidewalk on the Western Drive?
Actually, we do show a stub to that location, so yes, we could
Okay.
add the sidewalk connection.
Okay, I don't see it on my drawing, but okay.
That makes sense, for sure.
And I apologize for this question in advance. You talk about a berm and trees and irrigating. Where's that at? I'm sorry. On which side of the property is going to have the berm with the pine trees on top of it?
I believe that was to the east. It was behind, like, the commercial development to the east.
Oh, so it's going to be up against the rain tree development?
Not the rain tree, but the, on the north side, as you come in the entrance drive, there's commercial.
Oh, I see it there,
Commercial
okay.
to the,
And the zoning around there doesn't require anything else? The other sides of the? Okay. That's all I have, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
He'd asked the first question about the foundation, the painted concrete.
Mr. Monty guaranteed that it wouldn't be painted,
He wanted to know if you had any suggestions.
but that's not my job.
Okay. All right. All set. Rich?
I'm all set, thank you.
Brian?
Well, I think Mr. LaBelle did an excellent job, honestly, because you had picked up several of my points, so I do want to reinforce just a couple of the more important ones. I did catch the sidewalks, same thing on the west end. I do think you need to make sure that those are clear, that there are sidewalks that are along the entry road, and I'll get to my point here in a minute. I also did catch that wall too, so we will need to know what that material is of that wall, whether it's a detail, showing the exact materials and, you know, what that wall is, before I personally can approve anything. And landscaping, great catch on that one as well. My question, since Mr. LaBelle caught most of those, is I was looking at your phasing, and I was trying to understand, so you have your phase one. Well, number one, has construction actually already started on this? Has there been any site work already done?
for phase one, yes.
Yeah. So, and that's one question I had was, if we didn't have final site plan approval, how did construction already start on phase one? I didn't know how that happened. I mean, I was just curious because when I did drive by it, I was like, oh, they already started.
Yeah, they met
then.
with the engineering department, and they got permission to start phasing the phase one infrastructure.
Okay. So my question with the phasing is, because again, we can never guarantee that any of the phases are going to be completed, right? So, and then sometimes it could take years between phases. So the way you have it right now is you have phase one along the eastern edge, and then you're jumping to the front, and you're going to do phase two, and then phase three is your very back end. And I kind of thought that was a little odd, only because I was trying to think, you know, like you try to create a loop of some type, so in emergency situations, so that fire trucks can get. So like when I look at House 21, that's at the end of phase one, how does a fire truck, you know, I'm just, again, phase three can take, 15 years from now, who knows? Right now, if House 21 catches on fire, that fire truck goes all the way to the end, turns the corner, stops, puts the fire out, and then he's got to back up all the way back to, I guess, try to come back up to Nantucket Drive backwards. And is that, it seemed very odd to me because if anything, I would think you'd want to do phase three as phase two so that you can complete the loop and anybody can come down, loop back around and get back to your main drive. Only because I don't anticipate you're going to do that western entrance because you're going to leave that as a construction entrance, I would assume, so that you can build out phases 2 and 3. So I assume you're going to use Ferrara Drive as your construction entrance right now for phase 1. And then you're going to use that western one for phases 2 and 3. And I was just trying to understand the logistics of how people are going to get around because right now you're just got a dead end. There's no roundabout. There's no turnaround. You're just dead ending at House 21. So I don't know, has that something that has been looked at?
Well, we've looked at various ideas and how that this could possibly be phased. I want to say the front area was selected to go to phase 2, probably based on the number of units. When you reach a certain number of units, a secondary access drive has to be installed. So, so rather than do a long loop around, I don't know, I think maybe that was part of the idea, is to try to incorporate that in the next phase.
So if you do it that way, then where's your construction entrance? Because now you have phases 1 and 2 totally built out. Those now are POV vehicles coming in and out of your east and west entrance, and you've locked yourself out of the south quadrant for phase 3. How are you gonna do your construction entrance?
I understand how, you know, however, the secondary access road is a requirement. When you reach a certain number of units, we would have to use it. It would have to be there available for emergency access.
Well, yeah, but
So-
what I'm saying is your construction entrance in theory could be through that commercial space. That's what I was trying to understand. I mean, I guess this is an engineering question, but from a planning perspective, I look at that whole thing of what you're proposing. Logically, how does it work and does it work? And then also trying to minimize, you know, residents that are gonna be buying your condos, and then how you're planning to build this out and what that impact has to them. It just seems a little odd to me how that works. Because I do also have concerns with that commercial. I remember when this did come to the board a couple years ago, I mean, the idea was that that commercial would be built out and or maintained. And right now, you know, again, part of the site plan, to me, that, and again, maybe I could be, you know, you can correct me if I'm wrong, Jonathan or Stephanie, I just, how do we approve a site plan for a future without something being told of what it's gonna be, right? Like, is it gonna be graded and grassed, and the grass is gonna be cut and maintained? Like, I mean, maybe I'm missing it on here, but I don't see anything. All I see is future commercial development, which they've already said they're gonna sell or tried to sell, but it doesn't show anything in regards to, you know, what is that space? Is it grass? Because it doesn't say here. So what is it?
Right now, it was used, part of that was filled and graded. There'll be some additional grading work that'll take place on that lot. But it was intended to just remain as a vacant lot, really, right now, for sale. So, no, I guess it was not proposed to plant grass there and maintain grass on the vacant lot.
Okay. Okay, understood. Thank you.
Thank you. Mark?
Yeah, I just actually had just one or two quick questions. I was looking at the layout there where where it identifies the floodplain, and I've noticed you're anywhere from, call it 2 inches to 14 inches away from being outside that floodplain, and noticing that the subdivision is mostly in the floodplain. Is any thought being given to the folks that are looking to build there, where they'll have the option to build that up to get out of the floodplain, so that they don't have to have that added flood insurance on there? Because this part I speak from experience. Knowing what this price point is and what the flood insurance is going to cost, you could very well cost yourself a great number of customers that won't buy there for that very reason.
And we've already submitted for a conditional letter of map amendment for removing all of the lots from the floodplain. Part of the area to the rear of the site was already cut, and fill was placed to bring all of it out of the floodplain, so there will be no flood insurance for those lots.
Smart move. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. The chair has nothing to add. Anything else? You
No,
wanna-
sir.
With that, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair, going back to Mr. Carr, are you satisfied with the wall, seeing the detail of the wall? There is a wall detail on the landscape drawing.
Brick pattern, yeah.
So Rick, not looking at the ordinance, can you tell me what, again, I couldn't hear you exactly, on the wall itself, the finish, it can be a poured concrete with brick pattern, but has to have color in it, correct? Or,
That is correct. We don't allow paint,
okay.
because you know what happens with paint.
Yeah,
It peels.
no, I
It
agree
looks
with that,
terrible.
for
Yeah.
sure. And we're agreeable to do that, for sure.
Satisfied?
I mean, you know my position. We've been doing the board a long time. I mean, I personally like to approve plans that are comprehensive and accurate, rather than making the assumption that they're going to administratively correct them. I mean, that's my position always, and you guys know that. Just because we've been burned before, where we've let applicants go, and then they didn't do what we had discussed. So, I mean, I guess the question you got to ask yourself is, are we comfortable with the sidewalk being added on the west entry, the landscaping, the, I guess, tinted concrete wall? And I assume the brick pattern is on both sides, so I assume it's going to be stamped concrete on both sides. I assume both sides, right? Is that right? It's stamped on both sides, that concrete wall?
Color on both?
It's stamped
Yes,
concrete on both
yes.
sides? Yeah.
Mr. Carr, Mr. Carr, through the chair to Mr. Carr, could you speak closer into your microphone? It's very hard to hear.
Is it?
It is.
Okay. So, I mean, I guess that's my only point is just, and I guess how we leave that future commercial area, again, it just seems like we're leaving a big spot along 23 Mile Road to be abandoned. That's how I read this, and is that what we want in the township, is just to leave that abandoned for some future development? Usually a site plan approval, there's an intent to build, and we're looking at what they're intending to build. So to me, if they don't have an intention to build, they should have an intention to address that in the current state until they come back to us with a approved plan of how they're going to build. To me, they don't address that. They just leave it. It could just be a dirt weed lot, and I don't know. When I look at site plan approval, I consider it comprehensive with all the land that they're trying to build on. So I don't know. That's how I look at it, but I'm just one person.
Then make a motion to postpone making a decision until they have the drawings updated.
Oh, you know me. I just give you the advice.
Mr. Chair, if you're gonna have them, if you're gonna postpone a decision on this, make sure that you articulate each of the items that they want to come back on. And I'm not real clear on Brian's comment about a phase that is not yet developed yet. Phasing is hardly new, and short of blight, you can't tell a developer who's going to multi-phase a development that if you're going to develop phase 1, that you have to keep phases 2 and 3, in a pristine condition. That you can't do that. I mean, obviously you can't allow blight for sure, but I don't, articulate what that concern you have is, and articulate where in the ordinance it's required. Okay. You can't just kind of make it up as you go along.
Brian, did you want to make a motion and then specify those areas?
Well,
You know, if we're going to
I
postpone it.
understood. Yeah, wait. So I understood what Mr. Seifert's saying, and I wasn't. I'm well aware of how phasing works, and I know how that works. But like, for instance, like when I look at phase 1, and remember, I'm detailed. So I look and I see 2 approaches leading in from the east side. I see 2 approaches that lead into that commercial space. But when I look at the road that's already built, that doesn't have those approaches going in there. So are those approaches required or are they not? Because in the current road that they've already installed, it doesn't have those approaches. But yet in phase 1, it looks like there's 2 approaches. And I guess I look at that and I see that and I see a deviation already from what is shown in this plan and what is there. That's all. So I mean, I didn't expect them to build out the commercial space. I was just trying to understand the limits of what they're doing. And because they've already built that road, It was a pretty easy catch for me to see there's two approaches that are included in phase one, but that weren't built with the road. So it's more of a, when I see that, I just then question other things, that's all. So, but, I think all the comments that were brought up, I guess the question is are we comfortable administratively having them address the sidewalks, the landscaping, the wall? I mean, we can list all those out, and we can then do a vote tonight. I was just saying myself, I typically like to see an updated plan with those incorporated so that we were approving a comprehensive document, that's all. Otherwise, whoever makes the motion is gonna have to do a detailed list of what are those updates, and then they administratively can be covered by Jonathan, that's all.
Okay.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
there's 4 items that need attention. Is the township willing to take care of that administratively?
Yeah, all the items that I heard mentioned so far tonight, I don't have any issue reviewing administratively.
Any other board members, anybody have any objections? I know Mr. Carr has always voiced his. Anybody else have any objections to making a motion this evening?
Well, it leaves a lot for interpretation, right? As far as landscaping on that west entrance and sidewalks.
I think there should be a
In-
detail, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And then the sign itself, I mean, we're just hearing that it's gonna be, I kinda agree with Brian.
Okay.
I would personally like to see something in paper.
Eric?
Do you want to see updated drawings? Is that what you're asking for?
I don't,
Showing those items?
I think it's just more clear what they're gonna do. I mean, right now, we're leaving it up for a lot of interpretations. You can say landscaping, and my idea of landscaping, putting in a small bush and a tree, is different than somebody else's version of landscaping, which is multiple bushes, trees, and, pine trees, whatever. So I kind of support what Brian's saying, but I understand the developer wants to get moving, and we want to see it developed, but
Anybody else?
I don't think one more meeting is gonna hurt.
Yeah, I think the east and the west entrance should have the exact same landscape detail, and also I think a drawing of the proposed masonry landscape wall. It just says masonry wall, block, brick, like we've kind of talked about.
No, on the landscape drawing, they call out a poured wall with the brick pattern.
For the wall, but the little landscape wall in the
Oh, I'm
front.
sorry.
Yeah, the landscape wall in the front of the entrance, is that the same deep as the landscape wall? Or is that a different type of design? Because it's just a little curve that says proposed masonry landscape wall. What's the design detail of that? Is it brick? Is it the poured wall to match the stain? Is there the name of the development inside the wall? I think the west and the east entrance should be the same.
There appears to be numerous questions as far as details. So if we're gonna make a motion to delay the vote, then we should have a list to update the plans. Then if somebody wants to make a motion to delay, then also include what you would like as far as the updates to show.
Mr. Chair,
Mr. Chair, I'm sorry, go ahead.
could I comment on the original question that Mr. LaBelle had? Are these items, first of all, are the items that aren't clear, are they requirements of the zoning, or of the,
So
for the condos?
some yes, some no. So for example, the sidewalk. The sidewalk goes in a very specific location, and there's a very specific requirement. So there's not really any discretion on the sidewalk. The landscape wall, I don't believe that's going to be required. I believe that's a proposed landscape feature from them. So there is no specific requirement for that. The landscaping, I mean, there's, other than the street trees required, I would anticipate that you would match both entrances to be the same, but that's not spelled out in the ordinance specifically, no. What was the fourth item?
Poured wall, keeping up the.
Yeah, I mean, there's there's requirements in the ordinance for what's allowed. So as long as they're within those parameters, yeah, they would be good, right?
So my thinking is, my thought is, there might be a list of things, but if they aren't technically required to be able to get a building permit or continue with their project, if I'm not in favor of delaying and having them come back with another one, I would support our administratively through the building and planning department.
Okay. If someone wants to make a motion and specifying those items to be addressed administratively, and the board is comfortable with that, since they're not required, then we can go down that path. So with that, does anyone want to make a motion to move forward and have those items done administratively? Or somebody want to make a motion to have to postpone and have those addressed on the site plans?
Jonathan, did you have something else?
No, I was just gonna, reiterate, the sidewalk is very clear. It goes 1 foot inside the right of way. It's 5 foot wide, so there is no discretion on that. And then the planning commission could state as part of the motion that the entrance landscaping would match, no painting of the brick stamped wall. It would just have to be specific, and I don't have any issues with that. If there's something more the planning commission is looking for, that's different.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion.
Sure.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion for Wynwood Bay Site Plan 2023-12. It's the final review site of the condominium, located south of 23 Mile Road, east of Donner. I'd like to make a motion to approve. We have already gone through, as part of my motion, the preliminary site plan review, and there are specific things that were agreed upon during that period, as well as agreed upon with the township engineers prior to this meeting, with contingent upon 4 items. Item 1 is there is a poured wall that's going to go between the residential and the C3 site. The poured wall is drawn on the drawing, dictates that is a brick face or a brick pattern on the wall. The contingency upon all this is that the concrete will have a stain, or it will be impregnated to a color. We do not allow paint. And that drawing is dated, I'd like to reference the dates if I can, June 16th, 2025. The second thing I'd like to, as part of my motion, that'll be handled administratively, is the common area, the C3 area will be maintained. It will be seeded to be maintained and kept up aesthetically to enhance our township's beauty. The third item is the landscaping on the west driveway will mirror the same landscape plan as on the east driveway. And the fourth item that I'd like to include is that there will be a sidewalk included along the west drive going into the site in the 40-foot private easement for the ingress and egress of this of the development. With that, I would like to make a motion to approve.
We have a motion by Rick LaBelle to approve. Do we have support? Support. We have a motion by Rick LaBelle to approve the request, and supported by Mark Renault, and with the items listed to be followed through administratively. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
I'm sorry, who? We have 8 for and 1 against. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate your help to keep us moving along with this. We appreciate it.
It's been a while since this was all discussed, so some things had to be hashed out, so thank you. There's no presentations, reports, or discussions. Any of the planning commissioners have any comments? You have 3 minutes. Kathy? Eric?
Sorry about that. I turned it on. I had it on, turned off. Heard a story today, which is it was kind of interesting, kind of disturbing, about, I don't know if it's true or not, because it's kind of a hearsay from somebody I don't want to say that's, about the government buying Chesterfield Township and closing M59 by Hall Road, because Selfridge, with the new fighter jets, the runways are like 2,000 feet too small, and they want to close off M59 to Jefferson from I-94. Has anybody heard of this?
What I've heard is they're going to reroute M59 around,
Okay.
instead of going straight through, the runways will come out and they'll reroute it
Reroute
to just, you know,
M59.
do a U shape
Okay.
around the runways. That's what I've heard. I don't know.
Also, I've heard that part of the industrial complex is going to be bought by the government and torn down and extended the crash site area. Have you heard of that? No. Okay.
It's going to be a little different
Yeah.
traveling M59, but
Yeah.
that's what I've heard, that they're going to reroute it.
Is that
So-
soon, relatively, or not?
That I don't know for
Okay.
sure.
Okay. Well,
If
I
you
was-
remember, Eric, when the folks came in front of us for the 900,000 square foot
Yeah.
building,
Yeah.
that piece of property, at that time, I believe it was even on one of the drawings that they actually had.
Is in the
they had
crash
penciled
zone,
in
yeah.
where that road was going to be coming through.
Yeah. Okay. Yep.
I'm sure
Okay.
it wasn't set in stone, but
Yeah,
it was just,
exactly.
you know, their
Okay.
depiction of what was going to happen.
How's that,
That's all. Yeah.
Thank you.
that's-
Ralph? James? Rick?
Nothing for me. Just wish everybody a happy holiday. Happy 4th of
Yeah.
July.
Rich? Brian? Mark? And I'm all set, and I would like to wish everybody a great 4th of July and enjoy all the fireworks. With that, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn the meeting at 8:04. Support. Have a motion by Carl Leonard, supported by Mark Renaud, to adjourn the meeting. All in favor? Aye.